How do the Kurta Clan Scarlet Eyes actually work? And do they all work the same? Did Emperor Time just come packaged with them in Kurapika's case? And would all Kurta Clan members have Emperor Time? Let's talk about it. This video was inspired by this comment I got from Pig Catapult, which raises a few of these questions and provides their own thoughts on it. And y'all can pause to read the entire thing if you'd like, but Pig, thank you so much for the support. All right, so the first thing I want to say is that obviously this is just my opinion, and all opinions are valid here because we have no canonical answer to this. And that's because of how Togashi crafted this story. Like most authors do, he didn't know everything when he sat down to write page one. And in particular with Kurapika, this is important because he crafted the Scarlet Eyes before he crafted Nin. So those existed pre-Emperor Time, pre the mechanics of how Nin affinities and Nin contracts and all that jazz were going to work. And it just evolved as the story went along, right? So when Togashi first made the Scarlet Eyes, they might have been one way in his mind, and 3 years from now, if he decides to tweak it further with a reveal in the story, he might very well do that, right? And it could change how we view everything. So I just wanted to, put that out there first and foremost, that I don't have the answers, but I'll give you my best guess based on what we do know. So what do we know about these Scarlet Eyes? Well, we know that they activate during times of high emotion or high stress for Kurta Clan members. And when it happens, they lose their rationale and gain tremendous strength. And this was pre-Nin, right? This is actually a screenshot from the Kurapika one-shot prequel. So this is far before he ever left his village, far before he became a hunter, and absolutely far before he learned about Nin. And in that story, his eyes activate and he gets a power boost, right? He gets faster and stronger. And again, according to the laws within universe, regardless of what Togashi as the author was planning at the time, the only way we can make sense of this now is that this gives him some sort of stat boost regardless of Nin, that it would give all Kurta Clan members, which is part of the reason why they were so feared by everyone. And then another data point we have is when Uvo finally remembers the Kurta Clan and says their eyes turned red when they got furious. It was a lot of work. They were really strong. So again, these Scarlet Eyes provide a power boost that has nothing to do with Nin. And just to play devil's advocate, if Togashi originally constructed it that way, but then later created Nin, then maybe retroactively the explanation for their increased strength would be that it was granting them Nin. I'll say that's possible, but I don't think it's the case, again, based on the fact that Kurapika didn't know Nin, and he still had his second hunter exam test just the same way Gon and Killua did and was taught Nin. And I think if his pores and his aura nodes had already been open from previous uses of the Scarlet Eyes, then that would have come up. And again, it never did. Could it have happened off screen? Sure, but I think the more logical answer is just that these things are a biological trait of the Kurta Clan that power them up, not related to Nin. All right, so if you're with me so far, the Scarlet Eyes do things without Nin, but they also obviously do things with Nin when it comes to Kurta Clan Nin users. So let's talk about that. And in Kurapika's case, we know that these eyes transform his Nin affinity. He goes from Conjurer to Specialist, and that is a unique property thanks to his eyes, right? But is that an innate property of the eyes? Would all Kurta Clan members go from whatever their natural affinity is to Specialist when they activate the eyes? And that I don't think is a fair assumption. Is it possible? Sure, but I think it also makes sense specifically in light of Kurapika's case. And that's because we know Kurapika's true Nin affinity to actually be more close to a dual type affinity. As you can see, here's his node on the Nin chart, and it's about halfway between Conjurer and Specialist. So I think that speaks to the fact that his eyes may be a product of his unique situation, and that's why they push him all the way to Specialist as opposed to them working that way for every Kurta Clan member, right? Because we know that it often is manipulators and conjurers that can become specialists later in life, and Kurapika certainly seems to be a picture-perfect case of that. Because hypothetically, let's just say we have a Kurta Clan member that is 100% pure-blood enhancer, right? Just like Gon. Now, could their Scarlet Eyes also make them jump all the way to Specialist? I'd say, yeah, that's theoretically possible, but it obviously makes a bit less sense compared to Kurapika, who just so happens to be a middle-of-the-road Specialist Conjurer to begin with. Now, obviously, if we had some more data points, we could make a more informed guess as to how all of this works. But based on what we do know about the Scarlet Eyes, and also that people's Hatsus or Nin abilities are often a reflection of themselves, I think it stands to reason that Kurapika's Emperor Time is more so a unique reflection of what he needed and what he desired, as opposed to a standard operating procedure for every Kurta Clan member. Because remember, Kurapika was trying to craft all of these chains in order to deal with the Phantom Troop, right? But as a natural conjurer, he was running into issues in some of the other affinities which he needed to use to craft those abilities. So, lo and behold, the Emperor Time kind of emerged, I think, from the necessity and also desire of what he was really after. Now, that's not to say that they could have just done anything. I think it's also thanks to his unique placement on the Nin affinity spectrum here that he could tap into Specialist, which then basically allows him to not play by any of the rules. So, again, just my 2 cents, but that's the conclusion I come to based on what we've got here. That being said, I think it's entirely possible that all the Scarlet Eyes could work that way if that's what Togashi wants to do. And one little final bit I want to touch on that addresses some stuff Pig said in his original comment is, even if everything I've said is true, I would still think that Kurapika subconsciously created Emperor Time, because there are some good points that Pig brings up that, like, Kurapika didn't understand everything about it, which would maybe point to it being an innate thing rather than a crafted Hatsu. But I would think it was crafted, but it was subconscious. And again, we could chalk this up to being a genius. We could chalk it up to being a specialist, but very much the same way that Prince Saridnik created his entire Nin Beast ability and he's not even aware of it. I think Emperor Time could have manifested, again, just subconsciously based on Kurapika's desires. All right, that's enough of my speculative yap. To circle all the way back around, Pig, I could totally see it being what you've presented here, and that maybe the Scarlet Eyes always came packaged with the Emperor Time. I think Togashi could go that route if he so chose, but right now it's just kind of up in the air, so that's my 2 cents. And then finally, Pig wanted to know if I think the Kurta clan could be from the Dark Continent originally, and maybe they were even the servants or the messengers for the Dark Continent gatekeepers. And yeah, I really do like the theory that the Kurta clan originated from the Dark Continent, and so connecting them to the gatekeepers could be a cool way to make the devil's messenger thing come into play. So I would be here for it if that was the case. And I might make a whole other video talking about the Kurta clan Dark Continent stuff, because the eye drop bottle and the gatekeeper is a cool little connection. But I do think it's one of those things that could be nothing, or it could be Togashi being cheeky. So, hopefully one day we'll actually get to the Dark Continent and maybe get to find out some of these things. Anyways, y'all, that's going to do it for this one. And if y'all's heads don't hurt too much from all the yap, then please let me know all of your thoughts, theories, and comments on this, because what else are hiatuses for than for us to get into the weeds on some of these things?